Good morning. Welcome to the Congregational meeting for this year. I'd like to start with an opening prayer. Lord, as we open this meeting, we recognize that we can do nothing apart from you. Please grant us wisdom to rightly represent you and to faithfully interpret your word. Let the spirit of wisdom dwell within us, and may he provide us with knowledge, conviction, Christ-like love, and unity. We pray that this time will be fruitful to those in attendance, and may righteousness and peace be ours through Christ. We pray in his name. Amen. Okay, we'll be going over the budget again, upcoming budget, the proposed budget, and then later we'll be voting on accepting it or not, and also we'll be choosing synod representatives for the upcoming synod meeting. And I'd like to introduce Heather.
Actually, we're doing this first.
Oh, we're doing it first. Oh, that's news to me. Okay. For delegates for assembly, is it going to be all four that? There's 5 up here. Oh, I see. All right. So these are just the ones that were nominated. We have to vote on accepting them. Okay. So we have Phyllis Schroeder, Robert Luckett, Bob and Donna Narat, and Kurt Steffens. I think just a voice vote would do. No? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Oh, okay. Okay, motion carries. We have our representatives to the Senate.
One of the things we need to do here today is vote on our budget. So we're going to give you a little bit of a financial report and then present the budget for next year. I'm going to go through this a little quickly. You've seen most of these slides already if you were here last week, and we've got some other stuff at the end that we want to make sure we leave some time for. So just to be sure we know what time period we're talking about, we no longer do our budget on a calendar year. A few years ago, we switched to a fiscal year beginning in August and ending on July 31st. And that's because we follow the cycle of the school system. Our largest ministry is our preschool. And everything we do, that whole cycle seems to center around the school year. So it makes sense for us to start our fiscal year on August 1st and end on July 31st. So our current fiscal year ends July 2026, and what we are doing today is voting on the budget for the 26-27 fiscal year, which will go from August of 26 to July of 27. Okay, and this is just a brief slide that shows you where we are now. These are our operating results for 25-26 as of March 31st. And we are ahead of where we thought we would be. Our budget forecasted a surplus of $11,400, which is exactly what we needed to pay back our restricted funds. Actual as of 3/31, we are ahead by $52,570, and we anticipate that we will be ahead by about $30,000 at the end of this fiscal year, which is $19,000 more than we expected. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we do have some big expenses coming up. We do have some property projects that we need to do, such as one of them is replacing windows in Little Lamb Preschool. Things like that are a lot easier to do when you don't actually have preschoolers in the room. So we do it in the summer. And a couple things like that are still upcoming. Again, just briefly showing you where we are on our Who is My Neighbor campaign, which is funding our operating budget for the 25-26 fiscal year. As you know, we don't get enough commitments to completely fund the budget. So we take those commitments, which last year was a little over 561,000. We consider those kind of the gold standard. Those are the people who responded and said, what I am going to give this year. We also do an estimate based on recurring donations. Some folks do not respond, but they have an active recurring donation out there in Subsplash. So we assume, unless we know any better, that they are going to continue that active recurring donation as they have been doing. And we consider that a pretty good number as well. The third number is a little bit harder to estimate. We take all those who, for whatever reason, did not choose to pledge, and we look at their past giving patterns and try to come up with an estimate of what we think we might be able to expect from that group of people based on those historic giving patterns. So taking those together, we came up with a total of 837,201, and as of April 24th, with almost a month left to go in our campaign, we are at 854,44. So we've exceeded what we thought we've exceeded our estimate.
Is that the actual commitments, or is that based on including the two other estimates?
Which number?
The 850.
The 850. That is every dollar that we have received to date from May 17th to April 24th.
Those are the commitments.
No, this is actual dollars received to the campaign.
I got you,
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so we thought we'd put up our Dare to Disciple results. This is where we are as of April 24th, which was Friday. And again, we go through the same process. Our commitments were 493,000. And just so you know, I didn't just round that off. It was actually $492,999.85. So I wasn't just shooting for a round number. Somebody's going to ask me that, I know. Our estimate based on recurring donations is $86,958. And again, these are people who did not choose to return a statement of intent, but they do have an active recurring transaction out there in our giving system. So we consider that a pretty reliable number. And our estimate for people who did not choose to participate in the campaign is $297,963, which brings us up to $847,921.
What Heather is describing is what we do in-house in the office when we are doing our forecasting, right? So how is it that we can predict and anticipate what the year is going to look like? And when she talks about those are dependable numbers, what that really means is those are the ones that we feel like we can predict most clearly. So commitments, we consider, people have committed to that. And life changes, we expect that our beloveds will change their commitments and their intent as life changes. And then there's always a missing piece here, and that is the new members and folks who visit or things that happen or people who give extra, have a particular gift for generosity. That is the piece that gets missing that put us over that 850 on the previous slide. And that's why actual income, the total income we receive, is always going to be, we expect to be more. This is what we feel like we can predict. And then there's the extra faith bit, right? So what we're doing is we're trying to walk you through how we do our forecasting and how we can do that based on these sort of 3 or 4 bands.
Okay, our current situation as of March 31st, 2026, wanted to put some of this up here because we're in a very different place than we were when we had this meeting last year. We currently have an operating surplus of $52,570, and that is 8 months into our fiscal year, 4 months remaining. Our cumulative operating surplus, which is our surplus over all of the life of this congregation. It's not just this fiscal year, it goes back to the beginning. Our cumulative surplus is 26,251, so we're still in the black any way you look at it, and we're happy about that. If you remember, a couple years ago, we had to borrow some cash from our restricted funds to pay some operating expenses. We borrowed a total of $45,000. At this meeting last year, we committed to repaying $950 per month until that was repaid off. We have done that every single month. And to date, as of March 31st, we have repaid $7,600, and we have a remaining balance of $37,400 as of this date. So we're making progress. Our current balance in the checking account is a little over $88,000. We have resumed paying some mission support to the Synod. We've currently repaid about 1.5% at that rate, which is $11,500. And we are hoping to be able to pay a little bit more to them before the end of the fiscal year. We should be able to do that. We have resumed the budget portion of the social ministry monthly emphasis at $1,200 per month. Our subscriptions to Christ in Our Home and mileage reimbursements and cell phone reimbursements still remain paused. There's going to be a little bit more on that in a little bit, so hold your questions on that, please, until after we see the budget. But as for this budget year, those are still paused. Okay, you might remember this from last year. These are the stair steps, where we thought our budget basement was $923,962. We said that if that's where we need to be to meet our expenses. If we get up to step 1, we would resume our Synod tithe at 3%. Step 2, we would have staff salary increases. We're not quite at those levels yet, but we do think we are at a point where we can resume that giving to the Synod and the staff salary increases. So you're going to see that in the budget that is coming up. Okay, and here's that budget that's coming up. What you'll see on the left is the annualized estimate for fiscal year 25-26. So we took our figures, our actual figures, as of March 31st, and thought about what expenses do we expect to come in for the remainder of this fiscal year, and we took that out to July 31st of 2026. We are expecting unrestricted income of about $949,000, just over that, and you can see the breakdown of what how that is coming in. Our proposed fiscal year budget for 26-27 is unrestricted income of $992,372. That's what we need to support our expenses. We expect offerings, and again, these are those offerings that we can predict to be $847,321. That comes straight from that analysis that we went through a couple slides ago. And that leaves us with a faith estimate of almost $115,000, just shy of that. So what questions do we have? Any questions? I will move on to expenses. Okay, and this is the expense side. Our annualized estimate for the fiscal year 25-26, operating expenses and debt reduction, which also includes that includes our mortgage payment. Some of that is debt reduction, and it also includes the amount that we are paying back to restricted funds. We are expecting that to come in at $930,061, and our proposed fiscal year budget for 26-27 is $992,372, and that includes a salary increase at 3%. Questions?
Sorry, maybe it's up there. Does that also include the tithe to the synod, to the ELCA at the 1.5%, you said?
I believe it's a 3%.
3%, okay.
Yes, the budget includes giving to the synod at the 3% rate. What other questions?
What changed in the mission that it went down?
Let me look at that number more closely. Probably. Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly. No, it wouldn't be direct support because that's in a different category. I would have to look that up to be sure, but off the top of my head, I'm not exactly sure. Yep.
I thought on the other slide, it talked about payback of the restricted funds in like $7,900 a year. So why is this more?
Now, we are paying back $11,400 a year, which is $950 a month, and I believe the $7,600 number was the amount that we have paid to date in this fiscal year through March 31st. What other questions?
What's included in mission? Maybe that's bigger, but maybe what's included in mission?
Most of that is our social, well, there's more than that. Social ministry monthly emphasis is a big part of it. Another part of it is our, the giving to the synod. Other questions?
So the question that's probably on your mind is, there was a gap, what we called the faith gap on the previous slide, of $115,000. And that is, as I said, the fourth band that is the least forecastable for us, but it's not entirely. Right? So the fourth band, the least forecastable, is Christmas Eve and Easter Sunday as we get guests joining us. It is also maybe gifts that happen during the year, but it is also, we are hoping, from you, and our faith is that you will be inspired to generosity by what we are trying to do. The way that churches are the healthy church sets out a vision and says, this is how we want to change lives. This is what we feel like God is doing, and then that becomes the vision that hopefully we share and we jump in and join together in. So part of that, I'm going to be honest, is that we hope that some of you are moved to adjust your statement of intent if you have turned one in, and if you haven't, to consider that, to join us in making this happen, so that it is not just we are hoping that we'll get Elon Musk coming to visit us on Easter Sunday, right? Oh, that would be, I would have to keep my lips sealed. I'd have some things to say. But rather, this is also what we do together, and we're hoping that you will be a part of that too.
Any other questions? Okay, we are going to move on to one more slide before, oh, sorry.
Do you have any understanding of how we became in the positive this year? It seems sort of random because we've not necessarily been in the black for many years.
Yeah, the question is, do we have any understanding of how we became in the positive this year? A lot of that was just offerings. People increasing their offerings, people following through with their offerings. Some of it was a lot of our annual givers gave on the front end sometimes. Well, we have a lot of annual givers in this congregation. Those tend to come in sometimes right at the end of the year, right when people are thinking about taxes and getting their RMDs and getting their tax house in order. This year, we had a lot more of those come in at various different points over the year, and that helped us out a lot. It might not have been an increase overall, but it gave us a boost that we needed. And again, we've just seen an uptick in offerings.
Youth director to a half-time youth director and not the whole year, right?
True. True. We did take our youth director from full-time to half-time, and that is contributing to reduced expenses. Although we did have that expense in the budget last year, so you know there's a little bit of impact on that, but maybe not a huge amount.
I have a teacher voice. I can be heard. Apologies if you said this at the beginning when I was at Sunday school opening. How many more years are left on the mortgage?
Okay, the question is how many more years are left on the mortgage, and we have 10 years left on our mortgage. Let me give you the mic, so I don't have to repeat it.
Just that last year because we were in such a different place, I know that the council worked to reduce our budget as much as we could. So we were working from a minimal budget. So I think that also definitely helped us end up in the black.
Yes. Yes, it most definitely did. Any other questions?
Is our interest rate on the mortgage adjustable?
No, it is not. It adjusts every 5 years. Okay, so every 5 years we have an adjustment that comes on January 15th. It's effective with our February 15th payment. Yeah, we are at, I believe, 5.75 right now. Yes.
But we do have an idea. We do have an opportunity. You got to pass this first, and then we'll tell you what that is.
Yeah, yeah. Any other questions? Okay, one more slide before we vote on the budget. Actually, 2 more slides, or 3. This is, again, this is just a different view of the slides that you just saw. It just puts the 2 years side by side to show you where we were in 25-26, which is the blue one, and what we're proposing for 26-27. And that is the expense side, or sorry, that is the income side, and these are our expenses. And now the slide I was getting to. We are proposing a couple of amendments to the budget that we are going to ask you to pass. And this came from some discussion at the forum last week. And the question was raised, have we restored cell phone reimbursements, mileage reimbursements, and all of those things that we took out of the budget? And the answer was no, that we did not. Those did not make it into the budget that we are presenting to you. So we are asking that you present the budget as presented with the following amendments. That we restore the cell phone reimbursements to both of our pastors and our youth directors, which is $70 a month, and that comes out to $840 annually for each. We are also asking to restore mileage reimbursements to the senior pastor, and youth director. Restore Christ in Our Home at $155 per quarter, and add a line item for the best practices review, which is in place of a much more expensive audit. And the total of those we think will be $5,440, which is a pretty small amount compared to a budget that's almost $1 million in and of itself. Any questions on those?
What does a best what does a best practices review mean?
Good question. So it was discussed after one of our previous audits that we should have an annual audit. We have never actually had an audit of our books. We have something that is more like a review. An actual audit would be tens of thousands of dollars. It's way more expensive than what we can afford. What's that? An outside external audit, yes. So our synod offers what they call a best practices review, where we have our synod treasurer, and I believe it's maybe her husband that comes with her, and they're both accountants, CPAs. They know what financial records should look like, and they are basically just going to give us a review and look at what we're doing, give us some ideas for what other congregations are doing that may help us out, and just a general external set of eyes that is less expensive an audit, taking a look at our books and records and saying, what are you doing well, what can you be doing better?
Policies and procedures as well. They make sure that everything, the internal controls make sense and things like that.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah.
Repeat that with the mic.
Go ahead. You said that well.
They go through all our policies and procedures, and they make sure that they are best practices for churches, that we don't have internal controls that are missing, things that we could do better, just to make sure that everything is the best it can be for our church.
That's in addition to our audit committee.
Correct. The audit committee would still do the review internally. We would not take that away. This would be reviewing the things that they're looking at as well, but just making sure that everything, that we're just doing the best things we can. We have grown a lot, and things change as you grow, and so having an outside group look at that is, we think is worth $500. Yeah.
I have a different question.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm not good at this microphone thing.
I was just wondering if we've had this outside, the Senate audit before.
No, we didn't even realize it existed. We had been asked about an external audit. Those are insanely expensive, and I knew especially last year's where the situation we were in didn't work. And then Heather and I went to a synod online thing for accountant type people, and they mentioned that they do this, so we reached out to them to find out what the cost was, what was involved, and things like that. And they're just in Fort Wayne, so they would come over here for a day or two. Yeah. Okay.
I have a different question.
Can you just explain the what mileage reimbursement is covering for each of the 3 positions? And I'm like, how do we know that's enough, or is it up to that amount?
That is open for discussion. The amounts were what we had in place prior to taking them out. It's possible we might need to go up. What it covers is basically any mileage that either of our pastors or our youth director would have in conjunction with their duties. So if they wanted to charge us mileage for hospital visits, they could do that. Mostly what I see is mileage for longer trips, such as mileage back and forth to Lutherwald for camp, or up to Wisconsin Dells for Quake, or down to Crawfordsville to go to Wabash. For longer trips are usually what we get requests for reimbursement for. Pastor Tim is currently participating in the Systems Academy for the ELCA. That could be reimbursed as well. And that's up in Chicago. That's a long trip. Does that
answer your question? Yep, okay.
Okay, so a comment, someone asked about the mission change. Digging through the budget, it appears to be that it is in fact strictly the decrease or moving this contribution to the synod to the actual amount that we planned, as opposed to apparently we're giving more this year than the 3%. The question I had was also digging through the budget very carefully. It appears that we are cutting the Pastor Erica's housing budget in half. And did that get talked about last week? Or if it didn't get talked about last week, can we talk a little bit about it and find out what's going on with that?
So housing that you see in there is sort of an odd thing in the life of the church. Basically, pastors have one remaining tax advantage left to us, and that is that we can take a portion of our salary, designate it for housing costs, and that becomes tax deferred. That becomes tax exempt. And then, it's up to us to track it and stuff like that. So if there is a difference there, it means that Pastor Erica has chosen a different amount. We have to set that every year with council. That's just one of the things we do in January.
If you see a reduction in her housing amount, you would probably see a corresponding increase in salary. And if you didn't, there's a chance we made a mistake somewhere, possibly.
There's not an increase in corresponding salary until it's unbudgeted here.
Okay. Yeah, it could be a spreadsheet error, I don't know.
Okay, that's why I was like, oh, what happened?
Yeah, we can take a look at that. And I believe if we do find an error somewhere, exec would have council would have the authority to fix that error once the budget is passed.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't like somehow inadvertently cutting your salary.
Yeah.
$15,000.
No, we're not doing that. We wouldn't do that. We would fix the budget before we cut her salary. And I think somebody would notice.
Did he just say $15,000? Because that seems like a significant number if we have to edit.
From what I see in the budget, if you look on the almost the very last page where it's showing all the salaries and things, in fact, it's the second to last page. If you look at the column 24, 25, 25, 26, there is the senior pastor and then there's the secondary pastor. So the two salaries are identical in the 2 years, but then if you go down farther down to the housing, they are not identical. So I believe it was the proposed, even with the proposed looks like the same as 25, 26. So there seems to be $15,000 missing somewhere. So let me show you the 3 columns. So we missed it last year and this year. Sorry. Somewhere there's a typo.
Somewhere there's something wrong. Let's figure that out.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yep. I look at a lot of spreadsheets.
So do I. That's why I miss some stuff.
Exactly.
All right. Any other questions?
So our procedure going forward will be, we need someone to make a motion to amend the budget with this piece. Nope. You amend first. So we need a motion to amend the budget as presented here. And a second. We can have discussion about this amendment now, which we sort of did already.
So, when did they last have mileage reimbursement?
It's been a couple of years now.
It's been a couple of years. I believe it was the 24-25
Okay, so
fiscal year.
I would like to.
When did they last have mileage reimbursements?
All right, well then I would like to do a friendly proposal of amending this amendment to increase those mileage reimbursements by 10%? I don't know, something, there, 24 to 27 is definitely there's been a change in everyone's mileage reimbursements, so those should go up some.
So the amendment to the amendment is to increase mileage on, as presented here. This is the correct way to do this, so this is great, by 10%. Okay? Is there a second? Okay. We do. We are. Do we have a second? Okay, now we get to talk about it. So, yeah?
Is this capping the max they can get, or is
Correct.
it saying this is how much is in the budget, but we will reimburse what they request?
This is how much would be in the budget.
Yeah. So it caps, and it's by actual mileage at federal standard rate, is what our practice has been.
Yeah.
Okay? Other discussion? Paul?
What I'm looking at here, these expenses that go along, what I'm looking at on the screen, the expenses that go along with basically the engines that run this place should be probably doubled to about $10,000 is what should be considered in the next budget, because mostly it's communications and effort out on the road. That's not enough money in there.
So noted for next year. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Other discussion on the amendment to the amendment. So this is the order that it goes in. We amend the amendment. Bill, can I just go ahead and call for the vote? All those in favor of amending the amendment, say aye. Aye. Great. Now, all those opposed? And we'll wait for folks online, but that is sufficient. The amendment was, we're going to take this line right here and increase that amount by 10%. Okay? A little under $200. So that is what we just passed. What is before us now is, so what we passed was, this is now, has been changed to include the extra $1,880. This is the amendment that's for the total budget, and this is what is before us now. Is there any discussion about this changed amendment to the total budget? Bill, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor of amending the budget with this amended amendment with the extra $180, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? I can declare, we'll wait for folks online, but that's probably not going to change that. It's a majority vote, so we certainly have that. Now the budget is before us. As amended, what we see here, I suggest that we have a correction coming, and so I would like to suggest that we provisionally approve the budget as it has been presented, knowing that there will be a correction coming that council will work through at their next council meeting. Is that acceptable to y'all? Okay, so now the business before you is the budget as amended, presented and now amended, knowing that that correction is coming. Has come to you from council, so it does not require a second, but now that is the topic for conversation. Is there more conversation about the budget as we have amended and is it before us now?
I want to confirm that what I read and understood was that even though we have a sheet showing multiple different possible salary increases, the proposed budget that has been proposed by council includes the 3% increase.
That is correct. So the question was, can we confirm that the budget that is before us includes the 3% column on the salary sheet? And yes, that is correct. Tim? correct. Last year we did not have a salary increase. I believe the year before we did not also. Yeah, Crystal. That's what we're going to verify with council. We absolutely
It's hard
are.
for people over here to hear. I just wanted to make sure, Pastor Eric, I just want to make sure that we're going to double check on that and it doesn't get neglected.
That is correct. Over there.
So since this is obviously important to all of us that we properly pay Pastor Erica, how is this going to be communicated to the congregation after the council revises it? Because I think we want to make sure that doesn't slide into next year's, because I won't remember next year.
Great. Yep. So there's a couple options. We will make sure that it is put in our scribe. We'll give those results and e-blast and things like that. We'll use all of our various channels to make sure that you're aware with what we find out. Other questions and comments? Seeing none, Bill, if it's okay with you, let's take the vote on our budget as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, it is again majority vote, so thank you to our folks online. You can put your vote into the live chat. So thank you all. If you are not part of choir, we invite you to stay. We've got more to come for a little bit. So.
All right, this is going to be a little bit easier. There won't be so many amendments and firsts and seconds and voting on that stuff. All right, sheltered in grace. First, I'm Mylan Coburn, property manager here. But this morning, I'm going to go back 20 years when I was asked to be the project manager for a project to design, plan, design, and construct about a $3.5 million addition to our church facility, which includes a sanctuary, gathering space out there, adjoining classrooms, utility rooms, bathrooms, that kind of stuff. Switch. So this was a place of iconic presence, attractive, inspiring, and memorable, celebrates its meaning and purpose, and draws people to Christ. A place, or in simple terms, a shelter, really. Multi-generational focus, meets changing physical and spiritual needs across all ages, furthers lifelong faith formation, and encourages the sharing of gifts across generations. A place that enhances worship. Tradition and innovation seamlessly blend. Technology is discreetly accommodated. Liturgical arts are continually refreshed. A place that stewardship and purpose promotes responsible, sustainable use of resources, and supports a healthy relationship between the building's users and their environment. And a place that nurtures community, visually and physically accessible campus, simplified wayfinding, and hospitable gathering spaces that encourage people to linger. Those are the 5 design principles that were determined from all the congregation members who wanted to participate, and the architect came up with those 5 design principles that were the guiding light for building of this facility. So now I want you, we're going to look around a little bit. I want you to look around the sanctuary. Turn to the left. Come on, heads, I think heads rotate. Turn to the left. Turn to the right. See the people who are here with you. Don't worry, I won't ask you to talk to them. Just look at them. Look up, all the way to the top. It's a long ways up there. Believe me, I know that when I have to go up and change a light bulb up there. It is a long ways. Look, and then of course, look to the front. Did you see the lines? Did you see the horizontal lines that start way in these 2 corners? They follow the expansion joints of the drywall. They line up with the mullions in the windows. They line up with the relief, the little black relief on the trim on the columns, and even line up with the siding on the outside. Architectural purpose of those, and it draws your eyes to the front. When you're in here looking around, your eyes will look at a line and then they want to follow it. Your brain will tell it to follow it. It brings your eyes to the front. Did you see the stained glass panels in the windows? Those were originally in our original sanctuary here, which is the big room near the office area that is now primarily used by Little Lamb Preschool. Those were made by a congregation member many, many years ago. Did you see the cross? The cross, the small cross on the inside, was originally stained brown, and it was again hung in the original sanctuary, moved to the activity center when we outgrew that, and then when we moved into here, one of the members had an idea. He wanted to bleach it Easter white and put it as inside of a larger cross to represent the larger church, the larger ministries that we can now do with this facility. Did you see the ring up there? The ring with 12 lights on there. The 12 lights represent the 12 disciples. The long conical lights is a representation of the Holy Spirit, the flame that comes down from the Holy Spirit to the disciples on Pentecost. So that's some architectural representations of what we have in here. So when next time you're at communion rail, I want you to think about the Holy Spirit coming down upon you from above, from those lights up there. So all that stuff's pretty cool, isn't it? And I think you'll agree with me, it meets those 5 design principles that we have up there. So now it is time to protect what we have in here. As you may have heard talk about, the shingles on our roof above us are failing. And the panel that Pastor mentioned outside shows that. It shows a roof shingle that has severely deteriorated. It shows a good shingle. And it also shows the construction of our roof deck. So that panel out there is basically 5.5 inches of styrofoam insulation between 2 sheets of OSB or plywood sheathing. And again, if you look up and you see the black next to all the beams, that is the underside of the roof. The same roof sheathing that you have up there. It's just painted black, so you really don't see it. The reason we have that is the insulation really increases the R value in the roof, so it's much better insulated than your traditional roof like you have in your house. It also requires a lot, because it's structural, it's a structurally insulated panel, SIP. So there are a lot less wood or metal roof trusses that you have in your original house, which is cool when we built that. And we have seen certainly less utilities that we have paid because we have a higher R value in insulation. But the other side of the coin on that is, well, like any structure, what's one of the most important things you have on top of it? Your roof. Same thing at your house. The roof that we have here is perhaps needs more important for the structure underneath it, because if a roof leak there, if the shingle fails, you start getting water running into the underneath the shingles, it has no place to go. It's going to sit on that panel and basically try and rot it away. So it's not like at your house, if you have a roof leak and all of a sudden it's dripping on your head in your bedroom, you'll see it. Here you won't. So a continued roof leak up there can cause potentially catastrophic structural failure of the whole roof system. So it's imperative, let's have a good roof, okay? And we have been noticing over the last few years, our shingles have been deteriorating. It's to the point this year that decided we really need to do something about this. So we did do an infrared analysis of our roof to determine, to the best of our knowledge, we do not have any current leaks, which is great, because they're much harder to fix with the structure that we have. So that means it is time that we need to do something about it, and we need to re-roof. The roof shingles, so it was roofed in 2009, 17 years ago. We did get a warranty settlement from Certainty on the shingles. So under their admission, they did not last like they're supposed to. But on any warranty like that, it goes back to the year you installed it, the cost of shingles at that time, and it's depreciated every single month from then until now. So we got like $3,000, which is nothing to be ashamed of. It's good, but it is not paid for a new roof. So that's where we're at right now. And Pastor Tim gave you a teaser a little bit earlier as to what's coming on next for the roof and something else pretty cool.
Yep. So if in the next slide, please, Heather. We know that we built this, right? The mission builders came alongside us. They parked their RVs. We got to know them. And be sure to stop by the scrapbooks that are out by that chunk of roof out there. It's really cool. Can you go to the next one? I had a really good time looking for pictures that are in our photos. So Irene, you look the same. Dave looks a little younger. Chuck, you look quite a bit younger in this picture, I got to tell you. And then Erin Schmidgall is over here. Terry and Roland, you look the same as well. Erin Schmidgall in that top right looks a little younger than she does today. If you go to the next one. Mylan, you look a little different back then. So, but you know, this was a Sunday where we signed all of our names and stuff. We apparently now I have to verify this. In our photo directories, the folder is called Stud Sunday. Is that really what we called it? If that's true, we need to talk about naming because we need to do better than that. Could we go to the next one? Okay, so as Mylan said, we know what the situation is. It is urgent, it is not catastrophic, and that is great news. We're in this window where we have the chance to do something remarkable. And here's how we do that. Next slide, please. We know that to change out this roof will take $120,000 to cover that. But we would like to not cap our generosity, and we would like to take together this opportunity. So not just to replace the roof here, but as Kathy mentioned, let's change our mortgage and make a difference in that too. It accomplishes a couple different things. It takes our cost. We have the chance to bring our monthly cost down, and I'll explain how that works with this re-amortization. It frees up resources for ministry. It has the chance to continue to impact and benefit us as we go before. So we're setting a foundation goal of $120,000. Council has set this and bringing that to you. $120,000 to cover the replacement of our roof. And if it comes under that, anything above and beyond actual cost of that will go directly to our mortgage principal. We are under 1.5 million. We're at 1.486. We have learned that if we can make a difference with our principal, we can request a re-amortization, which I've had to learn what that means, and I think I've got it right, that they take our newly lowered principal and divide out from that across our 10 years. It has the chance to reduce our monthly, amounts that we pay. And would you go on to the next slide? Here's what we can do and why we are suggesting this. At 1.486 million, our current situation is that our monthly payment is $16,518. That is up from what it was. That's because of the interest rate. We cannot make a difference in that for 4 years. But with the re-amortization, if we can drop that principal by $100,000, look at this. It drops our payments, and so we can save ourselves $13,000 a year that then is available for other mission and ministry, not just paying interest rates to our mortgage lender, right? If we are able together to go further, you can see that the difference continues to compound and stuff like that. So what council is setting before you is this opportunity, saying, yes, we need to replace this roof, but let's do something remarkable. Let's set a foundation goal of $120,000. Let's set an alleluia goal that'll help us make this difference in our monthly payments across the year. Let's do this together, and this is how we do it. Next slide, please. Our council and our property committee have already committed and given toward this. Together, we are currently at 56,765 plus. This was as of this morning, and I already know that it's a little bit more than that. We are at 46% already of our foundation goal of $120,000, $63,000, a little bit less than that, still to go to be able to replace the roof. Every gift, of course, helps us move forward with that, and then once we hit that foundation goal, we get to start making that difference to the mortgage. Next slide, please. So 100% of council have committed to being part of this. 100% of our property committee have committed to being a part of this. 56,000 already committed, and plus a little bit more already today. Property started this because they are careful in their stewardship of our building. They are forecasting, they are watching, they notice, and then are so convinced in this that they have given first so that we can get started. Next slide, please. How do we get to $120,000? Well, it's simple. We don't ask for equal gifts. We ask for gifts that are in line with our own abilities and our generosity, our commitment to the congregation. So leadership gifts we have received. You see major, we see sustaining gifts, and then a community gift of any amount. Every dollar helps make a difference. Our leadership gift, the first gift that we received, has offered it as a matching gift. So the next $15,000 that gets pledged, it actually winds up being, that dollar for dollar match that you hear from NPR all the time, as encouragement and a way to get us started. Next slide, please. So how do we do this? We have a plan ahead. Today through June 1st, we are asking you to prayerfully consider, can we hand out our, there are white cards back there. Can we hand those out, please? Yep. Jeff's got them there. Between now and June 1st, we ask you to prayerfully consider being part of this and help us do something remarkable. We have an online commitment page at clcvalpo.org/shelteredingrace. We have these cards. There is a letter that is coming to your mailbox that has that card as well. You can fill that out and fold it and put it in offering. We're going to have a box out in the gathering space for it as well. Join us and let us know how you can be a part of this. Our hope is that gifts will be received by August 1st because that's the timing we need to be able to get our contractor working and so that we can get this roofing taken care of. Throughout the fall, as we've received our gifts, we're going to give those to our principal, make a difference in dent in that, and then we'll request that reamortization once we've received the gifts that that you have indicated, and then we will continue to keep you updated as we go along to make a real difference in life and to make this building more our own, right? Every dollar we pay toward principal makes this building more our own and less of the banks. Sorry for folks who work in banks. Next slide, please. Here's how you can be a part of it. If you've got a cell phone, that QR code will take you straight to that Sheltered in Grace page. We have those cards you are receiving. You will get them in the mail. We're available for questions and things like that. It is something together we can make a real difference. Here's a thing that you'll notice on there that we've not emphasized in other opportunities for generosity. This is certainly an opportunity where we have the ability to receive things like tax refunds, appreciated securities, IRA rollovers, and things like that. Heather knows everything about that. I know how to read it off a slide. So if you check that on your box that you'd like to know more about it, Heather will be in touch, or you can do that online as well. We got 2 minutes before worship starts. Yes? Gifts can be given online. We've got it all set up in our or checks written with the memo line. All right? So I think it's remarkable. Right? We are 46% of the way there to our foundation goal before we ever told you about it. It is remarkable that our leadership is so committed to this and convinced that this is what we can do together. So we hope that you'll ask questions. We invite you to be a part of that. Mylan, Greg, Heather, myself, anybody on